Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are.
Hi, everybody. I see some familiar names.
Welcome. And so the waiting room is busy. Click, click, click. We'll let everyone in and then we'll do introductions. And how about in the chat? Where are you in your supervision journey? Be it, don't know what it is and that's why I've come, to I deliver supervision or any other option. How about that as a change in the chat?
That's good for me because I was going to ask how many people are working as supervisors. So.
Yeah. And I've got just beginning and I've got the record on. And because it is sharing of research, I was also going to put the AI tool on so we get the notes and I can send that to everyone. Any objection to that?
Nope.
Okay, I will do that as well. There we are, that's on. And so, I've known Liz a few years now. She's a consummate professional. And I loved that when she did her supervision diploma, and some of her colleagues from that diploma are on here now, she decided to do a piece of research for her, what used to be a formal 3,000-word essay, you know, like the postgraduate qualifications. And so interesting to do something that's useful, but also adding to the field. And so really excited to be here today. I can see people that have attended our supervision program, even just recently this week. And so looking forward to hearing what you've got to share with us, Liz. Thank you for coming.
Thanks very much, Claire, for the invitation. And yeah, excuse me, I have a little bit of a sore throat today. Don't know what that's all about, but anyway, we will work away. It's great to see everybody. And as I say, lots of familiar names and faces, my supervision classmates and fellow supervisors who've mostly, I'm sure, trained with Becca McEnroy. So for those of you who don't know me, I started my coaching training in 2009. And I've been working that space ever since. And I suppose I always wanted to, you know, I did some coaching skills, tutoring, and did some mentor coaching. And I suppose I always felt that I wanted to move in the direction of coach supervision. So it was a fantastic program. And yeah, and as Claire said, I decided to do a bit of research around this. So I'm just going to share some of that today because, you know, I don't want to bore you all with all the statistics and stuff, but I guess it's maybe just food for us to have some discussion about, you know, what are the kinds of things we can do? What ideas do we have for encouraging coaches to take up supervision? I'm specifically talking about coaches here, as opposed to supervision for leaders or other professions. So I am just going to share a few slides, if that's okay. And so if you have questions at any stage, please, you know, it's not a massive group. Feel free to speak or to type them into the chat. Claire, if I'm not seeing anything in the chat, give me a nudge or a nod. So
Will do.
yeah, 1 second now. What am there? Did that stop sharing? Don't know why. Okay. Sorry about that. See what happened here. Still people joining. So what parts of the world are people joining from today? If you want to type in the chat. Nice to know where everybody is. I'm based in Dublin in Ireland, not the one in Ohio. And I just managed to miss Claire being in Illinois because I was over in Chicago the week before last for rugby and family visiting and stuff. So that was good fun. Okay. Kenya, Malaysia, South of Germany, Saudi
What
Arabia.
a global group.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
indeed. It's great. It's great to have that sense of place and where everybody is joining from. So look, I will get on with this. So yeah, I thought that I would share this, and I can obviously send on the more detailed kind of document. It's not that much more detailed, but I'm just kind of picking out the highlights of this today. So I decided that instead of sharing my other assignment, which was about how coaching supervision is like crochet, that this might actually be a little bit more interesting and relevant to you than sharing my crochet work. But you can draw your own conclusions from that. So a definition by Bakhirova, I think it's how it's pronounced, is that I like is it's a formal process of professional support for anyone who doesn't know this. And obviously we want to work with the continuing development of the coach and how effective their coaching practice is through reflection, interpretive evaluation, and sharing expertise. And again, people are probably familiar with the fact that supervision can be developmental, so we learn something from it. Resourcing, which a lot of people will probably attest to the fact that you get space to breathe, to think, and get that kind of support. And then qualitative, so you know, ethical issues and making sure that your coaching practice is in good health and delivered in a quality manner. And what happens there, again, we're all probably familiar with this, you know, we have this collaborative and confidential space. It allows us to focus on reflective practice, distinct from mentor coaching, which does cause confusion, I'm sure you would agree. It's more about the coach's holistic development and not so much just on technical skills, which of course is helpful and beneficial as well. And making sure that we have an ethical and effective practice. So I suppose I kind of think about it as being, you know, working towards the quality and the impact and the sustainability of our coaching. So for me, sustainability in anything is about how can we continue this and that it's delivered in a balanced and sustainable way, so that the coach is working in service of the client, but not at their own expense in any way, if that makes sense. So as you probably know as well from the 2019 ICF study on supervision, they reckon that 40% of people on average work with an individual supervisor and 18% currently work with a group coaching supervisor. And I'm sure you all are aware of the fact that the various coaching bodies have slightly different stances on what the requirements are. The EMCC, an Association for Coaching, does have a recommended amount of supervision based on how, you know, the stage you're at in your career and how many clients you have. ICF still isn't making it mandatory, but it is required, obviously, for the team coaching credential. So there's definitely a sense of, with them having defined the supervision competencies and you know, these various little things starting to come into various qualifications and credentials, that it's moving in that direction. So anyway, I see Francesca wants to see my crochet work. I will more on that later. So that's kind of where we're at. And I guess from my point of view, I was thinking about, well, if this is an area I'm going to be working in, you know, where, you know, how do we make sure that people are aware of what supervision is? And more importantly, what are the, well, I was interested in what are the things that keep people away from supervision. So just some stats. Yeah, like basically, sorry, I'll just bring all these up. So there was nearly 30 people across 14 countries that replied to the survey, which wasn't too bad. And most of these coaches have 5 to 10 or more years coaching experience, and 14% of them, of this particular group that I surveyed, said they rarely attend supervision. Again, looking back on it, I might have qualified some of those questions with, exactly how many times or whatever. And then approximately 42%. So these groups here in the top few slices here, about 42% say they attend supervision 3 to 12 or more times a year. Again, perhaps based on the amount of coaching that they're doing. Again, please stop me if you have a question. So the surveyed participants, global, US, are located in, Lisa, that question, 14 countries. I mean, primarily Ireland, where I'm based. I think there's about 10 of them, I think, were based in Ireland, and a good few from the UK and a good few from the US.
So can I ask you, did you ask any, what association they're?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
Curious about that. Thank you.
And absolutely, I can send you, the results, the full results afterwards. And I'm sure, like me, you'll be able to go back and say, you should have asked this or you should have asked that. Thanks, Lisa. And then in terms of the I suppose the approach of supervision, of the survey, the people that I surveyed, 58% attended the group online, coaching supervision group online. 24% attended in person. In Ireland, quite a lot of people, because it's not a very big country, people do like to attend things in person if they can. But obviously online still makes things very accessible for people and reduces the need to travel and so on. And 72% attended one-to-one. So I do get the impression that people are perhaps more comfortable with one-to-one supervision than group supervision. That would just be my kind of take on it. Issues raised, I won't go into all of these in detail, but the first few that people kind of identified with were challenges coaching a team with dynamics and politics and so on, how to develop reflective practice as a coach, clarity on how you want to develop as a coach. The coach feels they're not making progress with the client, ethical questions around boundaries, contracts and so on. Feeling you missed something with a client. I'll let you have a look there if anybody is surprised by or grabbed by any of those particular things that came up. And there's an other category there that just has a number of other items. So I'll have that in the full report if you want.
Interesting that the first one, one of the biggest ones, has team in there.
Yeah.
Team coaching. Not surprised at that, really.
Yeah, exactly. Because we know it can be like herding cats, right? And any other surprises or questions in there? I suppose what this says for me is that, it could be anything to anybody in some ways. And maybe that's part of the challenge. It's, if we're specifically saying it resolves these things, then, that might be something. Elaine had a question, I think.
I just wondered if these issues were predefined in your questionnaire or whether you picked them up from the verbatim that they gave you.
A combination of both, Elaine.
Okay.
So I had sort of a few, like suggesting, topics, and then there was other, and I just picked, I kind of grouped them thematically into, well, these all are more or less the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
So there are some of the top issues that were brought, and then asking them, what kind of benefits have you experienced? And again, I put in a few things and gave them space to add their own comments and so on. So I don't know how, I obviously didn't put the right order on these, but The biggest one there is receiving supportive feedback, reflective practice and time to think, feeling resourced and re-energized, tapping into the wisdom of other coaches, feeling reassured, and so on. So lots of different, lots of different different benefits that people experienced. And to Khaled's question there, perhaps because this was done this time last year, pretty much, it may not have been as much of a top of people's minds at that point, you know. Oops, sorry. So benefits. So again, some of the other verbatim things that people said. So it was interesting that the most common word mentioned in all of these, you can see it in the word cloud there, is clarity. So it's mentioned multiple times. So again, I won't go through it all. There were a couple of, you know, people who were honestly saying, I didn't get any benefits, or I felt like I got very little benefit. The other interesting thing, I suppose, that I feel is, you know, the way I came to supervision initially was through someone, a friend of mine who's also a coach, and she trained as a supervisor several years ago. And, you know, I guess, you know, for me, that just felt like a very natural thing to do, to go to her supervision groups. And almost every program that I have participated in terms of further learning and so on has kind of, if you like, been revealed to me through working with the supervisor. So things like coaching constellations or Gestalt or the 16 conditions and all these other tools are things that I learned about because of attending one-to-one supervision, and particularly attending group supervision, because I think you get a taste of a lot of these different coaching concepts and approaches. And the other thing that I'm aware of is my very first experience with a supervisor was not long after I trained. And I do remember being feeling a little bit like I was being put on the naughty step for using the word helping the client. So, you know, I'm sure people have all sorts of experiences, both from, you know, supervision that's perhaps less useful to supervision that is a really rich and learning space. And then to the nuts and bolts of it, what do you think might prevent coaches from availing of supervision? So they're not aware of it, or what it does for them, it costs too much. And this wasn't necessarily asking these particular coaches, just in general, what do you think might prevent coaches from availing of it? There's a perception it might cost too much. It's not yet a mandatory requirement except for EMCC, and I should have said AC as well. Feeling the coaching is going well and it's not necessary. Feeling vulnerable, that I might be caught doing something wrong, caught inverted commas doing something wrong, can't find a supervisor that suits, don't have the time, and a few other reasons. And I suppose just, you know, this is not a new thing. And Peter Hawkins published research in 2006 that said that, you know, there was a challenge in trying to get coaches to attend their supervision. And I suppose I am curious, you know, I think about it as if we're going to reflect on our work and be open to the possibility that we might do certain aspects of our coaching better, and that we might want to improve the quality, or maybe, you know, open up the possibility that we might have perhaps missed something, or you know, could do differently or better in future, then that requires us to be vulnerable, and that can be very what's the word, off-putting. But I guess if we expect our coaching clients to be honest and open to feedback and properly, you know, I suppose, yeah, willing to change and willing to reflect back on what works and how we could work better, then it's a good idea for us to experience this, so that we know how our coaching clients might feel. So yeah, I suppose when I'm asking that question, what's up, it's more of a, you know, so what's the story, what's going on with supervision, and what might be some of the challenges. And I think, you know, independent coaches can find their work lonely if they're working as a sole practitioner, and a lot of the time they're looking for support. They may not realize that they can get this through belonging to a supervision group or working with a supervisor. There is definitely, I'm sure you'd agree, confusion between mentor coaching and supervision. People always get them mixed up. And, you know, I suppose the thing is, if you're explaining, you're losing. So even the word itself, supervision, actually means different things to different people. So, you know, some see supervision as something a manager does. A manager supervises their staff, provides guidance, direction, all of that kind of stuff. There's an oversight aspect to it. Do people feel the need to have somebody watching over their shoulder? You know, it does bring up a lot of different connotations, I suppose. Attitudes differ across regions worldwide. So again, depending on different cultures, some people are very open to getting support and so on. Others are much more independent and like to do things their own way. So there's all sorts of different attitudes to it. Some, but not all, corporates require their external coaches to be in regular supervision. Again, I'm sure you found that you know, if you're being submitted for a coaching panel or something, if they have a robust recruitment and selection process, then they will usually ask if coaches are in regular supervision. Some internal coaches have access to supervision provided by their employer, whether it's peer supervision or group or one-to-one. I would argue that any organization that has internal coaches, from a excuse me, from a safety point of view, they really should be making sure that they also offer supervision to those coaches. As I said, I think group supervision appears to be less popular, less common. I could see that, you know, I love learning in that kind of environment, but some people might feel that if they're wanting to be vulnerable, that it's easier to do that in a one-to-one space with a supervisor. I'm wondering that if ICF goes down the road, which I imagine it will in some shape or form, of, you know, making a part of your renewal process, credential renewal or something, that might make a difference. But, you know, I'd love that it wasn't being the stick. I'd love it if it was more of a carrot, and that people feel actually this is something we just have to have. This is, you know, we want people to want coaching for its own sake. And I would like to think that supervision can be the same thing, you know, that coaches will want supervision. They won't feel that they'll feel there's always something to learn and something to benefit from it. So they are just some kind of musings, if you like, that I've had, and I'm wondering what you might think. And I was thinking if we had maybe 10 minutes or so to work in breakout groups, can we do other things to encourage coaches to participate in regular supervision? So how does that sound?
That sounds good. Should we see if there's any questions just before the breakout?
I'm going to end that slide there.
Anyone, any questions before the breakout? Catherine.
Yes, good morning.
Hi,
Hey,
Catherine.
good morning. Well done. Quick question. You probably said this, so forgive me if so. Were the majority of the people that you contacted from Dr. Claire's circuit and world, so to speak?
A mixture. Some were my own kind of contact network of coaches that I might have, you know, trained with or whatever. I'm pretty sure I put it out on LinkedIn, and then also in the CoachME community as well. So yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I'm just was sort of wondering, is this a bit of a rarefied air in terms of coaches in general, so they'd have more knowledge?
Awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I did think it was interesting that you know, a fair few of that particular group of nearly 30 people said that they rarely go to supervision. So I was actually pleased about that they were honest, you know, because it just gives us a sense of, you know, if for whatever reason it's not for everybody, or it wasn't at that time.
Thank you.
I looked that was in there because I thought that added to the validity. Because I had a thought when you were doing the research, if someone doesn't know about supervision, they might look at filling in that questionnaire and go, oh, I'm not filling that in. I don't know what
Yeah,
that is.
yeah,
So
yeah.
great that the honesty was there with that. Elaine. Oh, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I've got a bad internet connection. But I was wondering if anybody knew where ICF was going with this mandatory supervision, if we had any insight on that. That was one question, and if I may ask a second question, Liz, are you
Yes,
taking
Elaine.
this research further?
This is always the problem when you start something, isn't it? Well, what we were saying was let's see if there are some, I'm sure there'll be great ideas coming out of today. And like I say, I'm hoping that they'll be carrot more than stick. What can we do? How can we, I suppose, evangelize or promote it to our coaching colleagues and so on,
In
So
terms of
I'm not committing to
ICF,
anything, Elaine. That's the answer to that.
oh, it's intriguing though. In terms of ICF, so Magda was on one of our sessions that's on our YouTube channel, and she was saying it counts towards renewal, obviously, 10 CCEs. It is there in the 2025 core competencies that came out a few weeks ago. They're not in action yet. I think it's the 1st of January when they start being used. I'm advising ICF in terms of supervision and mentor coaching right now, and that's been going on since May. And obviously, sworn to secrecy, there's a lot happening.
So we remain, as always, optimistic, right?
Absolutely.
So
Suresh?
I'm reading this, that the investment we made into supervision has a very good chance of return of investment over the next 2 to 3 years.
You might think that, Khaled. I couldn't possibly comment. Suresh
No,
has a question.
I'm just talking to myself, me and I, not to anyone particular. I'm just thinking.
Suresh, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks, Liz, for this wonderful research. And definitely, like everybody thinks that you plan to go much deeper. Actually, whatever I wanted to share about what's the stand for ICF, Dr. Clay already covered it. It's work in progress. Well, I get involved in some of those things and trying to influence some of the existing ways how supervision should be done, knowing how it is done with EMCC. Some areas are felt a little lighter, so that's work in progress. Come 2026, we should be hearing a lot more with some further updates.
Yep, it sounds that way, all right.
Should we do the breakouts then?
Yeah, let's do that. And
How
Claire's
long
put
do you
in a
want,
great
Liz?
question. What's that, Claire?
How long do you want?
Will we go in groups of 3? Does that sound okay?
Yeah, and 8 minutes, 10 minutes, what are you thinking?
Yeah, let's say, well, it's just 5:30 now, so yeah, 10 minutes.
Okay. Rooms are open.
And what's our question?
Claire put in a question saying, if you had a magic wand, what would your dream for supervision be? And what can we do to encourage people to participate? Yeah.
Catherine, I've put you with Liz, so I'll put you in a different group. Done. Not that Liz wouldn't want to talk to you, of course.
No.
Oh, let me
We
stop
talk
the
anyway.
record.
Welcome
We were just
back,
saying
everybody.
when people stay in the breakouts right till the last minute, there's engaging conversations.
Great.
Over to you, Liz.
Great. So maybe we could hear from each of the groups, just any thoughts, ideas you had about how we can incentivize people to work with a supervisor or to participate in regular supervision. I'm just looking at the breakout group rooms here. So the first room is Emer, Khaled, and Lisa. Does somebody from there, it's feeling a bit like Eurovision for those of you who are familiar with that. Does somebody from there want to share any thoughts or ideas that you had?
So you did change the question from what the question was in the Dropbox, in the inbox. So I guess I'll make comments, and feel free, colleagues, to update or correct anything I say. I think we had an interesting conversation about we talked briefly about our own supervision, and can we be supervised by someone or that's very different in our style, and how do we take to it? And that was part of our open discussion.
Interesting.
Thanks, Lisa. In the last seconds, what came up to me is like, if like-minded people flock together, they talk, they approach things in the same way. So when we talk about different styles of supervisions, how do we ensure that we have a wide enough angle and not sort of get tunnel vision?
Renew, did you have a question or thought from your group?
No, I just wanted to share, if Khalid is complete, I can then follow. All right, thank you. We had a very interesting perspective in our group because we had, Jawar from the Middle East, we had Janet from US, and I'm from India. So we actually got 3 different perspectives to the room. And, while as coaches, we appreciate and we understand what supervision does. However, since 2 of us were from emerging markets, there's also a market dynamic because here a lot of clients are not aware of what even a credential is about. And then to kind of add the supervision angle, then the perception, given that we're very hierarchical cultures, that supervision can be misconstrued as remedial or corrective to be given by someone in authority rather than development in nature. So that is more from the branding and positioning from the external market. However, right now, a lot of coaches are looking at it from a perspective of, I need to make another investment, and I'm not sure if I'm going to see the ROI so soon. And will that be mandated? And what happens to coaches who don't want to pick up additional supervision, especially in the ICF ecosystem? EMCC has that. And we explored that the number of supervisors right now, especially like in India or probably Saudi Arabia or adjacent countries, very low in number. So there is opportunity, but there's also reality. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Renew. Anyone want to build on that or add or ask a question to what anyone said so far?
Just to add a little bit more, Elaine and I were having a great time. It had been a wonderful conversation. So the fundamental thing came up was more about awareness. And from that awareness theme, while towards the end of the discussion, team coaching supervision came about. And Elaine was sharing, because for the team coaches, supervision is part of it. So there is a need there, and it happens naturally. But for outside of those areas where coaches are not team coaching, it's one-on-one coaching, the mindset that, it is not required. And all that you mentioned about why they are not coming up, literally that is coming up. One thing that I shared was I work with coaches, and it is part of an organizational setup, right? So as part of that, they come naturally to me whenever they face any difficult situation with their clients. So then it becomes as an opportunity for me to do a supervisory session with them. And then that journey is better versus I'm connected with an external coaches community and having those mindset and also the knowledge of there is a huge benefit with mentoring, with supervision, and bringing that awareness had literally helped doing some short sessions. And the other thing that we tossed about was during mentor coaching, briefing a little bit about a very short session about supervision, more like a taster session, or vice versa, in a supervisory session, giving a taster session of mentor coaching kind of can help coaches to get more awareness into the space. Elaine, do you want to add anything more? Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And another group we had was Francesca, Jan Elvire, Nancy, and Jackie.
Just add that some similar discussions, and you know, we went through a process of what we wanted for ourselves to what we wanted for the whole global coaching industry, which was really delightful, and how personally what we felt would be helpful to us in how it was approached, and not wanting the stick, but more of the carrot, to, you know, globally this also like lack of awareness or understanding of what it really is. And then especially in the US, the word supervision often can mean it's more of a stick, right?
Yes.
It's more like tell you what you're going to do, what you're not doing right. And so just education around what is so different about coaching supervision, and that it is it's a place to be in reflective mode for growth.
Thanks, Nancy.
Group, anything you want to add?
Nothing, that's fine. Thank you very much, Nancy, for taking the lead.
Thank you so much. And we have Maleha and Catherine. There may have been somebody else in that.
Maleha, do you want to start? Shall I?
Yeah, we can start, Kathy. Thank you.
Yes, oh, thank you. We had a wonderful conversation, brought up some of the same points. And what Dr. Claire, I think, touched on in the notes, we'd love to see supervision integrated into all coach training programs, beginning at the ACC level, just like mentoring. I would love to see supervision integrated into the mentoring 10-hour requirement through ICF, so that, you know, becomes just standard operating procedures. And honestly, certainly in the US, it's really about awareness and about, I guess I'm going to say recognizing and erasing that, I call, you know, I've heard from coaches, the fundraiser mentality. It's just ICF wanting to make more money off coaches, or some people refer to it as the pyramid scheme, so to speak. And so we talked about that. And Maleha had an excellent, I called it my drop the mic moment relative to this. So I'm going to refer that to you, Maleha. What was your drop the mic moment?
Thank you, Catherine. I was asked by one manager in the bank. She said, we will go with AI coaches. I said, why? She said, shall I spend for the employee $100 or $300? Because we as coaches contributed to the AI coaching by raising the price of coaching session. I'm afraid that coaching or supervision session, if it's high cost, we will go with companies going for supervisor AI. So it is very important to see the commercial side of it. Now, how much it is cost for a supervisor? We have no doubt that this is a sanctuary of coaches. That's the area that they will grow. And in the study, there is two questions. What does UK is doing to have this high percentage for supervision or US? And the second thing, if the study contain the feedback from coaches after supervision, as also Catherine said, maybe also negative feedback, not all coaches will go for positive, depending on the qualification of the supervisor, but the why behind the high percentage of these countries. And the second thing is the feedback from coaches after the coaching session, and the commercial side, the price of the coaching session, the supervision session.
And to that point, since most coaching organizations require or strongly encourage some volunteerism, and I know nobody would like this idea, but I like it, is that what if there was a baked in requirement or incentive for supervisors to offer some, just a little pro bono supervision? Because you think about it, with the requirements for ICF for all the the renewals, there are some free of cost opportunities to get CCE, sorry, enough credits for your renewals. I think if we're gonna talk about mandatory supervision, which I would love to see, to sort of chip away at this idea of there's a hierarchy, the supervisors are up here, mentors are here, and coaches are here. Maybe we have some sort of incentive for folks to offer free supervision to make it more accessible to some coaches. I get it. I'm not trying to chip away at high quality charging and programs, but I just throw that out for consideration as well.
Just, I suppose, to build on that point, I mean, I did some work with a couple of other supervisors with one of the coaching schools here last year, and we set up 4 group supervision sessions at a nominal charge of, like, I don't know, 20 euros or something small. And this was obviously aimed at their alumni, so they would have hundreds of people who've graduated as coaches, but going back in the day, it's where I studied originally as well. And uptake was very poor, which like really surprised me, and what we were trying was, let's pick a theme. So let's have a particular topic like internal coaching or whatever. So we were trying to kind of evangelize and raise awareness, and even if nobody came to any of the sessions, the fact that they would know that there was this thing called supervision that they could avail of afterwards. So yeah, it is a challenge. So if Khaled, can I just hear from the last group first, and then maybe if you can hold your question. So Elaine, Mike, and Suresh, maybe you've already shared. You did, yeah. Great, thanks. Khaled?
I'm speaking now for me, myself, and I. I'm coaching via 11 different agencies because my business model is I don't want to do my own marketing, my sales, and all that stuff. From the 11 platforms, and some of them are boutique, high price, some of them mass, low price. But I'm getting supervision via 5 of them, for which I don't pay. I have absolutely no reason to pay for supervision. If I take the 3 biggest platforms, which have access to free supervisions, we're talking over 15,000 coaches. So there is the challenge of that as well. Why would I pay for supervision outside my MCC journey now if I can have, without any problems, 20 hours a year?
I think that's a fantastic thing that they provide.
Mhm.
We also, when we've got projects with our team of coaches, I provide supervision for the coaches together. Obviously, the organisation are aware of that as well. So they get it free because they're doing the coaching work for us. I do also like the free or complimentary for those that can't afford, and to balance that, charge more for those that can. So there's, we give complimentary places on our programs for not-for-profit workers. Of course, there's others paying that, evens out the cost. I also, I love the way that some of these supervisors charge. What do you get for your highest hour coaching? That's what I want as your supervisor for the supervision that I provide to you. That's one way of costing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's pro rata to your own rating, your own charging rates. Yeah. Okay, how are we doing? I see Emer saying there's thanks, Elaine. I see Emer saying EMCC currently offering free supervision for groups of coaches split between new and experienced and mixed, oversubscribed. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was so rich. Great to see so many on the call. We will get everything out to you. Liz, I know you said you're not promising anymore, but there's clearly more research needed. And maybe some of us get together to do this. Appreciate your time, Liz. Thank you for a fantastic discussion. We've gone deep and wide. And have a lovely day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Claire, for the invitation. Talk to you soon.
It's a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.